Hello everyone, I'm teacher Florence Nsabumukiza. I teach history in TTC survey, and today I want to teach the role of Gacaca, court and Abunzi in solving conflict to the student of year 3 social studies option. And our concern of today on that unit is the role of Abunzi in conflict solving. So I invite you to follow the lesson, and I hope that you are doing well, and I hope that you will gain information on how the Abunzi in our society, of course Rwanda, they solve conflict. Thank you. Welcome in this session of the role of Abunzi in conflict solving. As you see, our unit is the role of Gacaca, court and Abunzi in conflict solving, and our concern today is the role of Abunzi in conflict solving. So, we have to know first who are Abunzi, how they were established, and their function, so as to reach to their role in conflict solving. We start by organization, competence, and functioning of Abunzi committee. Then let's define who are Abunzi. The term Abunzi is a Kinyarwanda term which means in English those who reconcile. Abunzi are local mediator. They are chosen locally in our community, and they are chosen based on their integrity. So they handle local cases of civil and criminal nature. Initially, the Abunzi were established in 2004, and they were there as a mechanism to solve conflicts that are found in society, and they have been established by Organic Law number 2/2010 of the 9th June 2010, which clarified the organization, jurisdiction, and competence and functioning of Abunzi committee, published in Official Gazette number 24 of 14th June 2010. But this law was viewed in 2016. According to the law number 37/2016 of 8th September 2016, the Abunzi Committee is an organ responsible for providing mediation service as prerequisite for party to bring an action before competent court in a matter provided for in the committee. Here, before one can go to see competent court, may first join Abunzi, and then Abunzi try to solve the conflict. Organization of Abunzi, we continue at the organization of Abunzi committee, how Abunzi work and how their committee is. The committee of Abunzi is found either at the cell or at the sector level. And the committee, the Abunzi committee, is made up of 7 people or person of integrity. 7 Abunzi at cell level and 7 Abunzi at sector level. And they are voted for a term of 5 years. And those 5 years are renewable. And then when choosing the Abunzi, it is better, or it is as it is written in our constitution, 30% of the member of Abunzi committee must be female. This law is respected when voting the Abunzi. Members of Abunzi committee are elected by the cell council or the sector council respectively, and then they have to support or to work under cabinet member, parliament, staff, judicial organ, security service, local administration entity, and others whose duty are incompatible in accordance with specific law. Organization of Abunzi committee. We are continuing on how they are organized. We have seen that a committee is made up of 7 persons of integrity, 7 persons either at cell or sector. Then if one is chosen to be a member of Abunzi, the first thing to do is to do enough. Before entering in their function, the elected member of Abunzi take enough before the population, and the chairperson of the council of the concerned entity of its vice chairperson in case of absence of the chairperson. The oath of office is received by the primary court of the area of operation of Abunzi committee. The Abunzi committee at the cell and sector level is headed by a bureau composed of chairperson and vice chairperson. To mean among the 7 Abunzi who are elected either at the cell, they have to choose a chairperson and a vice chairperson among themselves. And those 7 Abunzi elected at sector level also, they have to choose among themselves, among the 7 Abunzi at sector level, to choose a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So have to see the duty of Abunzi committee. Abunzi committee, they have the following duty: to ensure coordination of activity of the Abunzi committee, to supervise the performance and conduct of member of Abunzi committee, to coordinate, to mean chairperson and vice chairperson, to supervise the performance of member of Abunzi, that is a duty of chairperson and vice chairperson, to give to Abunzi committee all instruction and necessary advice for a good work or a good performance of their duty, to prepare all the documents related to the functioning of Abunzi committee. And then after seeing duties of Abunzi committee, we have to see their competence. Which cases that Abunzi are able to solve in the community. In civil matter, the Abunzi committee at cell level has jurisdiction to decide any civil matter relating to movable and immovable assets and succession thereto, where their value does not exceed 3 million Rwandan francs. To mean if there is a matter related to movable or immovable. If we say movable, we have materials that you can find in a house, television, and we have chairs. We have, if we talk about the kitchen utensils, those are removable assets. And if we say immovable one, we are talking about house, land, and then if we say again movable, it can include domestic animals. Then if their value doesn't exceed 3 million, such case can be resolved by Abunzi at sale level. A breach of contract between individuals. If people have made a contract and then one have borrowed money which are not exceed 3 million Rwandan francs, that case also is in the competence of Abunzi committee at sale level. Family issues other than those requiring rendering a decision on a civil status. Family conflict, but that cannot lead to the separation of people or which can lead to divorce. Those are solved by Abunzi. Disputes involving land, property located in a different territorial jurisdiction are also resolved by Abunzi, are in their ability to be solved by Abunzi. Then after seeing the competence of Abunzi, let us talk about functioning of Abunzi committee. How the Abunzi receive a conflict or how they receive information on a dispute. So, at the cell level, the executive secretary of the cell receive dispute to be submitted to Abunzi. If one has a problem, have first to approach the executive secretary of the cell, and then the executive secretary is the one to submit the dispute to Abunzi. He or she can submit such dispute verbally or in a written way. That one is the executive secretary of the cell who submit the dispute to Abunzi committee. On the day of receipt of a dispute, the executive secretary fill a form. If one has a complaint to the executive secretary has a form where he or she fulfill how the problem is by writing brief description of the dispute to be submitted to Abunzi. Then once Abunzi committee receive the dispute, they choose what the venue where the conflict will be resolved, because some conflicts are resolved at the cell office, other conflict require that the Abunzi committee go to the field where the problem is. For example, if it is the problem concerning land or those movable assets. Then the executive secretary of sector also receive dispute to be submitted, is the one who receive the dispute to be submitted to Abunzi committee at sector level. If the conflict is to be resolved by Abunzi at the sector level, also such dispute is firstly received by the executive secretary of the sector and is the one who submit such dispute to Abunzi committee. And then the summons briefly describe the dispute, the venue, date, and time set for the respondent appearance before the Abunzi committee. What they have written, it is a summary which show the dispute, the venue, and the time for respondent to come and to give their to solve the conflict that they have. And then they said that the summoned person, a person who is accused, is given a period of at least 7 days to appear before the Abunzi committee. One have 7 days knowing the dispute concerning him. If one, the applicant have submitted or have given a problem to executive secretary and the problem is received by Abunzi, the summon or the respondent is given 7 days to prepare himself or herself so as to attend the conflict resolution of the organized by Abunzi. On the day of appearance, the party agree on free Abunzi to whom they refer their dispute. We have seen that the committee is made of 7 Abunzi, but on the day of solving, the people in conflict or the party have to choose free Abunzi among 7 Abunzi. Where party fail to agree on the Abunzi, each party choose one and the two choose the third one. To mean one party, if the people in conflict fail to choose free Abunzi, to agree on free Abunzi, one have to choose one Abunzi, and then where party agree on the same Abunzi, the latter choose the two. If they are the party in conflict agree on only one Abunzi, the Abunzi who was chosen is the one to choose other 2 Abunzi to help him in solving such conflict. Party have no right to refuse Abunzi or Abunzi chosen following this procedure, because at first people in party, they in conflict, they have right to choose free Abunzi. If they fail to choose or to agree on free Abunzi, and then they proceed by the second way, where one party have to choose one and another have to choose one to agree on one Abunzi, and the chosen one has the right to select other 2 Abunzi to help him or her in solving such conflict. The people in party have to accept, because they had the right at first to choose free Abunzi, and they are the one who have not decided or who have not enjoyed such right of choosing free Abunzi among 7 Abunzi who are member of a whole committee. Abunzi shall not sit in a panel examining a dispute involving him or her in which she has an interest. You know that Abunzi are from our community. If there is a conflict concerning Abunzi, then that conflict is resolved by other Abunzi, while that one is treated like a citizen who has a conflict not considered as Abunzi in that case, because she is involved in conflict. To mean when she is in conflict, she is put aside the Abunzi committee until the conflict is resolved. When the dispute considered involved all or almost member of Abunzi committee at the cell or sector level, what happened? Then a conflict is concerning all or the most of member of Abunzi committee at cell. Then they have to do what? All the Abunzi are not allowed to sit as Abunzi in their own conflict. They have to do what? They have to inform a chairperson at district level. That one is a coordinator of Abunzi at district. And then they have to write a document in 15 days explaining how the problem is. And then the coordinator of Abunzi at district level, he collaborates with executive secretary at the cell or sector level where the problem is, and then they see how they can support. If the conflict concern or Abunzi at the cell level, the executive secretary of the cell have to work with the executive secretary of the sector, and then the executive secretary of the sector try to find another Abunzi committee of a nearest cell to come to work as Abunzi in that cell where all Abunzi are in a conflict, so that the Abunzi are treated like a population, are not part of Abunzi, so that there is a fairness in decision taking. The same case if the conflict is concerning the all or most of Abunzi committee of the sector, they have to collaborate with executive secretary, and then they inform coordinator of the district level in 15 days, and they try to see Abunzi committee who work in a nearest sector to come to help in the resolution of such conflict, because one cannot be involved in taking decision of conflict on which he or she has interest. During the conciliation, Abunzi hear from each party and from witness. If they are going to take decision, they give a room to hear the party. The party to mean the respondent and the one who the summon and the respondent. The summon and the two people who have conflict have to say whatever, or they have to give information on the conflict, and then the witnesses are there to support or to prove what was said, and then they may also seek advice from any other person, because Abunzi committee work in public. Other people who attended the Abunzi resolution can give advice or can give clarification on the conflict. While considering the disputes, Abunzi help both parties to reach a compromise. The Abunzi are there to help people to reach a good decision that cannot hurt one of the party in conflict. And then they solve problem, or they take decision basing on law, culture of the place where the dispute settled, or their own conscience, provided the decision is not contrary to written law. Before the panel of Abunzi, a lawyer may assist a party having sought his or her assistance, but the lawyer cannot represent or plead for him or her. If there is a lawyer in the public, a lawyer cannot intervene based on laws because they are there to solve problem as the member who want to reconcile, not to take punishment or to make people being fair, or a lawyer can be there to give advice. So the applicant, the respondent, or the witness may use an interpreter. The applicant, one who have raised the problem, and the respondent, the one who is accused, and the witness may use interpreter if who is given the floor before Abunzi panel, to mean you can clarify, you can give a problem, but you can also need support from another person to help you to clarify the problem. Either applicant can have one to support, and respondent can have one to support before Abunzi can take a decision. Abunzi must settle the dispute within 1 month from the day the dispute is registered on the list of dispute of Abunzi committee. Abunzi are differ from the conventional court. If a dispute is submitted to Abunzi, Abunzi have to do their best so that a solution is rendered or is given in a period of 1 month, or they can solve it in 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, or they can even solve it 1 day when they met at first time, but they cannot exceed a month without giving a solution to a conflict rendered to them. If a summoned person failed to appear on the date indicated in the summon, he or she is summoned again, to mean the respondent cannot attend on the day, because I've seen that a respondent is given 7 days to prepare himself. If he or she doesn't attend or appear on the date indicated, then he is given time to be again summoned and informed that Abunzi render decision on the scheduled date irrespectively of whether she appear or not. If the party summoned fail to appear again, it means one is summoned first on the day and then he didn't appear, they summoned him or her again. Then for the second time, first time one cannot appear, second time if one doesn't appear, what decision is taken? If a party summoned fail to appear again on the date indicated for the second time, of course, the applicant choose Abunzi and Abunzi committee choose another, and the two select a third one to decide on the dispute in the summoned party's absence. One have been called or have been summoned first. For the first time, he doesn't appear or she doesn't appear in the public. And then for the second time, when again she doesn't appear, the applicant choose one Abunzi, and the Abunzi committee choose the second one, the second Abunzi, and the two Abunzi who was chosen by applicant and Abunzi who was chosen by Abunzi committee. The two Abunzi choose the third one, the third Abunzi, so as to solve the dispute in the absence of the summoned or the absence of the respondent. That is how Abunzi work. After the dispute consideration, Abunzi withdraw themselves from the public in order to make decision. Abunzi are sitting in public, hearing the information or receiving information from applicant, information from respondent, information from witness and interpreter who can be chosen by applicant and respondent, and then or after hearing or after gathering those information on conflict, they go aside and they sit together as Abunzi only, and they make a consensus by an absolute majority of vote among themselves, and the decision is recorded in minutes, signed on each page by all members of Abunzi panel and the concerned party right after the procedure of conciliation. So Abunzi make a decision which is written on a paper, and then a decision taken by Abunzi is known as a verdict. And on a verdict, Abunzi write their names, and people in a dispute write their names, of course, and their signature. So what are the main information written in a verdict of Abunzi? The decision taken by Abunzi. So they say that a verdict must be written and signed by Abunzi on every page and available within a period not exceeding 10 days from the day on which the decision was made. They have resolved a conflict, those are Abunzi, and then they have to go and put in writing those decisions, and then they have to sign on each page. And then there is some component of a verdict. A verdict of Abunzi indicates the parties' identification. If we say the parties' identification, to mean identification of applicant and the identification of respondent. The summary of the dispute in brief. The argument put forward by the involved party, what they agreed. Decision with which all party agreed. Decision to which one of the party does not agree, if any. In a party, if it is about, for example, sharing the movable asset, one can agree to share what? To share like the materials in house, but they cannot agree to share like the domestic animal. They can have something they agree and another things that they don't agree. But if they agree for everything, that one is not considered. It is not a requirement. The date and place of the dispute settlement, on which date the conflict is resolved and where the settlement took place. Signature. If one is good at reading and writing, is to sign, he may put a signature. And if he choose to use fingerprint, also it is allowed. It is signature or fingerprint of party in conflict. Abunzi name as well as their signature of their fingerprint. The Abunzi who were involved in the committee of Abunzi, of course, their names and their signature, or they can choose also to use fingerprint. The rapporteur name as well as his or her signature or fingerprint. The one who have written a verdict as a secretary, because one can change writing. If you write, also you sign as the one who have written such verdict and sign. The verdict of Abunzi committee is sealed with the seal of the Abunzi committee and is kept by executive secretary who submit it to the concerned party. We have seen that the conflict is received by executive secretary and is the one who send it to the Abunzi. And also when Abunzi resolved a conflict, they have to make a verdict, and a verdict is sealed and again submitted to executive secretary. And executive secretary is the one to give the decision taken by Abunzi to the concerned party, to mean to the respondent and to the applicant. That is how Abunzi committee works. So have seen how they work in conflict solving and how they have been established by the law governing Abunzi in Rwanda. Then you are going to talk about problem faced during the Abunzi accomplishment of their activity. Which problem they face when they are solving conflict. Some people neglect the Abunzi capacity because they have seen that they are chosen because they are people of integrity who knows how to read and write only. They don't have higher education. Some neglect their capacity, and some neglect them because they are coming from their family or the nearest or their neighbors that they have been grown together. In some cases, Abunzi committee are not compensated, and their service rendered to nation. Some of them are less motivated because they are working on the base of voluntarism. They are volunteers. They work not without waiting for a salary. They are there as volunteers. Then some of the Abunzi are not motivated to attend regularly the public or to attend regularly the conflict solving duty. To small extent, some members of Abunzi committee are criticized for acting like a judge, not as a mediator. Those are mediator. The purpose is to do what? To conflict resolution, and then it is conflict resolution and the people who reconcile. As you have said, Abunzi are people who reconcile. But some of Abunzi forget that they have to mediate people. Even if they had conflict and a decision is there, but after a decision, Abunzi have to give advice on how people have to live in harmony. Even if they had a conflict and the conflict is resolved, then they had to add a kind of mediation to show that they are all Rwandan living in a same community who have to see their vision and as the conflict is resolved, they can continue in a way of cooperating, working together and united. But some of them forget and give decision and forget to reconcile, while they are known as people who reconcile. Because of such number of problems faced by Abunzi, government have tried to find a solution to the problem faced during Abunzi activities. In order to avoid miscommunication between the Abunzi committee and the local governmental institution, it is important to enhance communication between Abunzi and the public and the other legal aid provided to improve efficiency and effectiveness. The Abunzi are there to work, but they have to be supported by local government, to mean executive secretary of the cell if they are Abunzi at the cell level, and they have to be supported by executive of the cell on the way they can improve their effectiveness in their accomplishment of their activity. It is also important to reinforce Abunzi committee supervision. Yes, we have seen that Abunzi work at cell level, sector level, and they have a coordination committee at district level. Then the district level coordinator have to supervise to ensure that the Abunzi are working regularly, because I've seen that some of them lose motivation because they are working without waiting for a compensation. So that supervision is the one that can motivate the Abunzi who works either at cell or sector level. And then government have tried to motivate Abunzi committee to give something incentive that can make them feel that their voluntarism is recognized by government. For example, government have given to Abunzi some bicycles to ease their transport. And also, they have been given some telephone to facilitate the communication between local government and the Abunzi committee, because some of Abunzi were not able to buy themselves the telephone. But the purpose was to increase or to make a clear communication between, or to facilitate communication between local government and Abunzi committee. And also, government pay health insurance to the Abunzi committee and their family members as a kind of recognizing their work, as they are working for a community. The provision of material and resources to Abunzi was done in order to improve their operational capacity and record keeping. Also, there is some material that were given to Abunzi so as to be able to record the verdict. You have seen how it is kept in a file. Then Abunzi are given facility which can help them in recording those conflicts. So Abunzi have played a great role and are still playing a great role in conflict resolution, as we saw that they have to resolve a conflict in a short period, 1 month. A conflict is resolved, and they are nearby population where people can give the problem to to the executive of the cell, and the problem is resolved in the same cell. One is not wasting time to travel for a long journey. Then they are our neighbor. To mean they reduce also the cost which was spent in conventional court, either cost and even time. So the Abunzi play a great role, and we have seen that they reconcile. It differs from conventional court, where when people have met in a conflict, the conflict is in, and the decision was taken on a conflict. Those people who were in the conflict, they continue to be separated. But for Abunzi, as they resolve a conflict, they try also to reconcile people so as to live in harmony after a conflict. So their role is important and also is significant in building Rwandan society. So we appreciate the work of Abunzi. So thank you. This was a presentation of the Abunzi. Thank you. I think you are still doing well. Bye bye.